Oh no, he's gone in an alley. He's running. Excuse me.
Hello, I'm Zac.
And I'm Scott.
And today we are breaking down one of our favourite videos, I Pickpocketed A Pickpocket, cut by cut. All right, take it away, Scott.
Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember this. So this, for context, is one of the least enjoyable, but perhaps most rewarding videos we've ever sort of went down the rabbit hole of trying to film. And I say rabbit hole because it very much was a start shooting, we don't know what's going to happen, and then put the story together as it unfolds.
This is me getting my phone stolen. And again. And again. But what these...
I'm going to pause it there, because a lot's happened in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
5 seconds. Go back to the start.
Yeah.
So we start with a compilation of 3 times getting stolen. You're delivering on the promise of the title. I think that's why we did that. We started with that one because
Because it's got a phone in it.
It's got a phone in it very clearly.
Yeah, but do you know the phone isn't real?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For context as well, we were shooting this video over the course of 2.5 months. And when you're trying to film criminals, it's quite difficult to have a camera anywhere on show. So these shots often were just the best we could get in the moment. And I think the reason why we've put this shot up front is because it was the clearest, showing the phone, the thief, and the promise of a phone being taken. But I remember with the other ones, there were small things also that you did to elevate that moment of it being taken off the table.
Yeah, so obviously the thief is trying to take the phone so subtly that even the cameras can't catch it. Like it's very low on the table, the paper's very low, so it's covering the phone completely. So we had a couple shots that were good for the intro, like this one, but even here you can't see the phone. Yeah. He's just taken it, it's underneath his hand and underneath the paper. So this top one, again, the same problem. I can show you the original. Just looked like that. The phone was already under the paper. So what we decided to do, that this was going to be too confusing for the intro, because we're saying that someone's stolen their phone, but then he's just sliding a piece of paper, so it'd be really confusing to the viewer. So what we had to do was animate a phone in. So this is a shadow on the phone. So I did put a fake shadow in, because obviously the original phone layer just had like no shadow on top, because it was before he'd obviously put the paper over it. So the paper would cast a shadow. So I had to think about that, and then we had to sort of cut out the paper, like frame by frame, to like layer it over this phone. So I believe that would be potentially this shot. So so I take off the paper and you can just see it doesn't quite look right. So then put the paper back on, and then because he's obviously pulling it out, I wanted to animate the phone to go out. So you can see I've masked out the phone, and then as he slides out the paper, the whole thing just slides out with him and slides underneath Zac's arm and then disappears.
I forgot we did that. I mean, I say we. I don't know how to use After Effects. But I remember the problem that we had was that, it's not clear enough visually to the audience that a phone is being stolen, because phone thieves are really good at what they do. It was really difficult even in the moment to tell. The sleight of hand was impeccable. Great bit of editing. So that's only the first shot. But also the keyframing. I want to go to the keyframing. So let's have a look back in the premiere sequence. So the first shot, we did that zoom, right?
Phone stolen.
Yeah.
Again, like all of this is to draw the audience's eyes towards what we want them to see. And I remember the slow zoom to start with, you sort of get the victim, the perpetrator, and the focus. And that again is like elevated by zooming in to just the moment it gets taken.
The zoom was just sort of exaggerating what we were looking at, because obviously the phone was disappearing. So to show something disappear is almost the hardest thing to do, because you can't look at it anymore because it's gone.
This is me getting my phone stolen.
So not only is Scott on the edits, Scott is there in the field with me. He's the film guy as well. So I think you were here for the whole duration of witnessing these crimes.
Yeah, those cold winter nights in the pubs drinking beer just to keep warm.
Yeah.
We were here, yeah.
But in particular, this shot, you said you were scared, shocked and appalled.
I mean, I was a little bit anxious the whole time filming this, because we didn't really know what we were messing with. Like, we obviously had so many cameras, and it was so bait that we were trying not to sell it to them that we were filming them. So I think I was just like playing around with the camera, just like, oh yeah, I'm just looking at my photos of the day, like, or moving around, like trying not to be like that right at them. So I think, yeah, any little shake, it was so many different things going on, trying not to get caught, trying to get the shot, being prepared to chase them down with you.
And there was a lot of worry in these moments that it's obviously quite hard to capture a real life crime on camera, and there was a lot of pressure on those moments to make sure we actually got it. And, you know, in a public space, especially a busy area like Soho is, where we had to go, one person could walk in front of the camera, we miss the shot, and then we have to reset and just go again. So I remember we had a camera GoPro stuck to the outside of a pub, which was capturing the wide, and then we had an iPhone up close on 0.5, and then I think we also had your main camera on the table just to make it look like we were sort of tourists. So yeah, it was stressful to get these shots, but this is the best we got.
And again. But what these pesky thieves didn't know is that they're part of my genius plan to get revenge on phone thieves.
So I'll just stop it there because we just did this little TV effect, another After Effects sequence. It was just an overlay of just TV screens.
Visually, I'd say, like, story-wise, it's to promise the audience there's more than what you've just seen. Like, these are almost too small and there's too many of them to really clock what's going on. It's sort of more just to say, you know, there was more thieves, more action later on in the video, and visually it looks like they've been caught on camera.
Yeah,
so
it's more just to show that, like, someone's always watching, like, whether it be the security side people always watching or the thieves are always watching.
They're part of my genius plan to get revenge on phone thieves.
Oh no, he's gone in an alley. He's running. Excuse me.
I remember we tried to make this feel like an action movie. So we've got like a promise that they obviously click on the video to see whether the promise gets delivered. You see action, 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 but a lot of when it's driven by voiceover, you sort of lack being actually in the video. And I remember we wanted to show like more of a chase sequence rather than just a static phone being stolen, to show that, again, reaffirm that we are going to take action against the thieves. This was the best sort of chase scene that we had. But I remember in the moment, I didn't really say much. I was focusing on chasing this thief.
Yeah, the original audio just sounded like this.
So we chose to dub this.
Oh no, he's gone in an alley. Oh, we're running for an alley. I see him. Excuse me, mate. Excuse me. Oh my God, he's sprinting. How's he not seen us? He's not seen us yet.
I'm not a good actor in the slightest, so doing things like this really pains me. And I'd say this isn't to deceive the audience. This isn't to deceive you guys. This is to add and like provide clarity, context, and immersion, I'd say. We only do it when it's absolutely necessary. I'd say hindsight literally hurts us every single video, where it's like always me just being so into the thing we're doing that I either don't say anything or I'm just focusing on chasing after a thief. So I think that comes quite late in the process. We would be in the edit, choose to use that moment in the sort of intro hook context setting, and realize that it feels flat. And I think we would have established at that point it's because it's confusing as opposed to like adding to the story. So this would have happened probably like draft 2 out of 3. Like we do 3 drafts normally, and I think that would have happened pretty late.
I think it's definitely a problem with our sort of content is that everything that we're going to shoot, we don't know the outcome, so we can't predict it. So he doesn't know what to say because he doesn't know what's going to happen in the first place. So we didn't know if we were going to chase, we didn't know if the guy was going to stop, if we were going to have an immediate interaction. And for this one especially, we were just both sprinting at maximum speed because this guy just robbed us and legged it. So to catch him up, like, we had to sprint full speed anyway. So I don't think we were going to be speaking anyway. I was out of breath.
I don't believe there's a world or a version of me on a different timeline that could have turned around at the camera and saying, I'm currently chasing a thief down an alley in that moment. So yeah, we'll chalk that one up as just like absolute necessary.
This is my producer Molly, and last month she became a victim of pickpockets. So how's about we get you some retribution, Molly?
Sounds great, Zach. You are the best person I know.
Humor. I'd say this is important for me because tackling these sort of like quite dark, weird topics of like crime and the underworld and all the rest of it, I don't like making serious stuff. Like, it just doesn't feel I don't feel like I'm the guy to do that. So we always try and add a layer of humor throughout the video. Like the entire mission of this video was a ridiculous one. We weren't reporting them to police. We weren't, trying to get real retribution. We were very much making a joke out of this entire quite serious topic. So I think this is the why of the video, right? This is why we decided to start this whole sort of video in the first place.
This was Molly's first time on camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, Molly
So
had just joined the team recently, and this genuinely happened to her as the American in London. Welcome to London, get pickpocketed. And I think she was, at the time, didn't know whether she was like keen to be on camera or keen for this to sort of be the why of the video. And I think I remember having that discussion with Molly and with you. I hate fake stakes in videos. I think like so many YouTubers fall victim to doing it because it makes things a lot simpler. It makes like in your head, it's like you give the audience stakes, they're going to care. But I personally think I can see right through it when a YouTuber says,
this is my dream. It's always been my dream or whatever.
Since a kid show like one old photo of them as a kid, I have always wanted to be a vigilante criminal hunter. No one's going to believe that. This one was real, right? We really wanted to do this, and I think it needed that why. So we went through a process of convincing Molly that she was going to be the center of this video. And she was okay with it in the end.
So this wasn't the first intro we had anyway. I think we had about 3 different intros through the process of the whole editing time that we did this. But it was sort of because the initial video wasn't actually to pickpocket a pickpocket back. It was just to get revenge on Molly's phone thief.
Yeah, this video started off very differently. I was inspired by Mark Rober's sort of package thief-esque thing.
This guy took a package from my porch, and now he's about to open it in his car, but what he doesn't know is this is a custom-built bait package.
I soon realized that I don't have the engineering prowess, and that just isn't my sort of content. I think we started trying to figure out how we were going to send a glitter bomb into this guy's house and all sorts of stuff. But let's pull up the original one. This is very much a rabbit hole project where we start off, we're like, okay, who's a great target for a video? Phone thieves. Molly's got her phone stolen. The thieves messed up by they turned her phone on or something, and it pinged her location from a house 20 minutes from our studio. And I was like, I don't want to go. You were like, I don't want to go. And Molly was like, what's the worst that can happen? And we just sort of said, okay, we'll go to the house, we'll scope it out, we'll do a recce, we'll film it. What's the worst that can happen?
So this is the call with the hacker first, and then we went to the house.
These are organised crime gangs. You definitely shouldn't touch it. You never want to go into those situations, even if you are as prepared as possible, because it's serious organised crime.
It's probably not worth going to the house after that.
No.
So I went to the house.
We're literally on the road with the phone.
So this ethical hacker, for context, he now works with the government, the police, to sort of like help where he can. He knows a lot about organised crime, like online crime, all of the rest of it. And he basically said to me on this hour-long call, very bad idea, organised crime equals bad people. I think the thing he ended on was, you do not want to prod this sleeping dragon. I got off this call and I was like, I don't think we can do it, guys. Then, 10 minutes of conversation with Molly later, she says she's going to go anyway, so we may as well go. And a few days later, we end up at the house.
We're literally on the road where the phone is, and there is cameras on so many of the houses. The ethical hacker said this area could be owned and operated by gangs. That's the location of the phone. It's just around the corner from here.
The initial plan was to knock on the door and politely ask for the phone back.
It's literally this house. Oh, there is cameras. There's a camera right inside of the front door, like literally inside the glass. Oh, there's someone comes out. Scott, put it down. Man, put it down.
But upon arriving, I was greeted by a sketchy-looking bloke walking directly at me.
So this is a pretty early edit of this. I don't think we ever got to a final stage edit of this before cutting it out, but
this is good.
It's still exciting. The music choice was like some stringy, intense vibe just to get you sucked into that moment and make you feel like your heart's pounding with the music and that you're actually like there amongst us, because it was genuinely scary when this guy walked out. It was so bizarre. Like, we parked up for about 20 seconds and then he started walking out, and not just walking out, looking directly at us, and then starts walking towards us here. That's why I bring the camera down immediately and Zac just drives off, and then as soon as we drive off, he just goes back into the house. So we were clearly being watched.
We couldn't make sense of this situation because we thought, surely not. Are we going to arrive to the house unprovoked? Like, no one knows that we're there. We are just a car on a street in London. What's so weird about that? The textbook criminal, hood up, outside of his front door, walking towards our car. Like, why didn't we use it? No, I know why we didn't use it, because I was scared. But this is good content.
Upon arriving, I was greeted by a sketchy looking bloke walking directly at me.
Don't, Scott.
Sped off into the distance like the scared little YouTuber I am.
That was the exact moment I realised I'm not about that life. And the reason we didn't include this in the video is because when you're messing with a criminal gang, you don't go to their house, you don't show where they live, you don't show where they operate their business. So at this point, it was a clear, definitive point. Rather than go after the individual that stole Molly's phone, we were going to go after the collective, which sounds more dangerous, but less personal. I remember thinking, it's safe to say that this individual or any of the thieves are going to watch this video.
The initial thing was to actually get this very thief back, and the ethical hacker was able to find out all his address, all his family details, everything, and we were like, whoa, we've got quite a lot of information here. This probably wouldn't be a good idea to release.
That is why in the main video we decided to blur every single phone thief's face, because if they were watching the video and saw their face on the internet, they'd be a lot more motivated to find out where I live and start messing with me. So a lot of people were annoyed at that choice in the comments.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was fake because we blurred the face and thought we just like hired actors and just blurred their faces because we didn't want people to know that they were actors, but it was purely a personal safety thing.
This is my producer Molly, and last month she became a victim of pickpockets.
One of the things as well we had to do with this sequence was where Molly's phone got stolen, the pub refused to give her the CCTV footage for the video. So what we had to do was go out at the similar time of night, stick a GoPro really high up on a window, like as close as we could get to the actual CCTV camera that's there, and then through a bit of editing trickery, put a load of CCTV overlays and mosaic effects and Gaussian blurs and like some slowing down the frame rate of the shot. We eventually got this reconstructed shot. Why did we not tell the audience it was reconstructed?
This is quite a short sequence, and I think like back to the whole stakes, if we didn't have that visual there, I think it would have felt like fake stakes, like manufactured stakes. It's a very context heavy, information heavy like sequence. There is a lot to digest, and I think that can add like a lot of excitement for a viewer. But yeah, if you choose to derail the story to say asterisk, terms and conditions, this isn't actually, it ruins the flow and the vibe. Like a filmmaker who makes movies for cinema would never do something like that. You know, maybe if the law department had something to say about it, but this was super awkward to shoot because it was like a Thursday night in London, very vibrant, people just having a good time.
And then there's me just stood up, putting a camera above these people drinking.
So ladies and gentlemen, we have returned to the scene of the crime, Mr. Fogg's, and I'm armed with 3 dummy iPhones and a sign with one mission today: to embarrass the phone thief like no other.
Here's the plan. Step 1. Set up a trap with a fake phone on a table. Step 2. Wait for the phone to be stolen. Step 3. Follow the thief, reach my hand in their pocket, pickpocket my phone back, stick a sign on their back, not only beating them at their own game, but embarrassing them in front of everyone. Sounds simple.
That little plan section. The idea was to have it almost like paper animated, but we just didn't have time to do that. So the solution we came to was forcing it in a weird way. Now, please don't judge me for this, because if I did this now, I'd do it in a completely different way. Right, so on the bottom layer, we have these paper effects. So I just put them in and inverted. It's more of like a noisy, papery sort of effect. And I just put a different one in every 4 frames to sort of do this stop motion-y effect in the background. And then on the top sequence, we have the actual videos of you doing this thing. So we went out and shot this sequence of the plan or whatever. This was all in just 25 frames per second and just shot normally. And then everything else on top is an effect. So I did this posterized time effect. That was just to add the stop motion effect. You just put in your frame rate you want, so we just had a frame rate of 6.
Set up a trap with a fake
you can
phone
see
on
it.
Makes it look like a...
Yeah, so it just takes that every 6th frame. And then I think every 6th frame as well, I changed the position and the rotation of this.
Why?
Good question. If I did this now, I'd probably do it in After Effects and use some level of coding just to do it for me and like randomize the location. I think at this point, maybe I didn't know how to do that. This is a couple years ago now. The vision was trying to do some stop motion through photography. Every single time the video changed, the position slightly changes.
Jumps.
Just one more thing on this part specifically, the like tape overlays. I wanted, because obviously this was supposed to be like, it was on a wall effectively, or like on a table. The photos were on a table and we were showing this step plan. So this was like the quickest solution I could come to doing that without having to print off every frame by frame and taking photos. So the tape on the thing was just duct tape PNG overlay. So I had these tape overlays and just put some text on them, and then I don't know, I like this effect. It's called page turn. It's used for like, I assume if someone's animating a book, but
pages.
it just looks like someone's peeling off a sticker, and that's just how it felt to me. So yeah, I just animated these again once every 4 frames to have that stop motion effect, so it was in time with the...
So that was a flat image before?
Yeah, these were just duct tape overlays. There you go.
Did you look at that? Wow.
But I stupidly
This is
did
the stuff
this in
that if
After
you told
Effects.
me how it was done in the moment, I'd be like, that's a waste of time, man. Just put the text on it. It's a waste of time. Stop doing it. But now I kind of like it.
So yeah, they all come
Scott
in.
is also a mass... Oh, what's the word here? He's the worst at knowing how long something takes in After Effects because he enjoys it so much. So he'll say, this would be like 30 seconds. And on occasion, it sounds very passive-aggressive, but I'll just sit there with the timer, and 10, 20 minutes will go by. I'm like, how you getting on, mate? Just curious. And yeah, it's still, he's tinkering over these little things. But it's fine. It adds a lot to the story. This is like your little creative bursts here and there. As long as it doesn't feel like out of place, I don't normally question why you want to do something. I'd sort of say, sounds cool, let's see what it looks like. And I think like looking at it now, it feels like 2 detectives going through their evidence on like a mark on a table. I don't know whether it's that layered or whether you just wanted to try something.
Honestly, I don't know where the sort of inspiration came for this. I knew I wanted a paper style effect. I knew I wanted it to look like it was photos being taken of each step. So this was sort of the solution I came to. Zac often lets me have a bit of creative freedom with the edit. Well, the majority, I'd say.
I'd say one of Scott's passions is like making jokes at me in the timeline. Yeah, I'd say the relationship we have is very much like the first year of working together was about establishing the sort of, I'd say, the key pillars of what our videos are. And, you know, again, that's like taking understanding of the algorithm, of like how to tell stories in a condensed sort of way, a basic 3-act structure, yada, yada, yada. But the rest of that in between, Scott has always been like, you sort of, when you first started, you were very much into like that Sam Calder-esque.
I left my home country, Canada, and moved to the Middle East.
Travel-y filmmaking, like smooth shots, whoosh sound effects. And I had to beat it out of you, not physically. But I think that process of like knowing that you like the creative animation-y sort of like the smooth edit, the sort of like edit, and then applying it to our kind of type of videos, which is, I'd say, more like short form doc man on a mission sort of style.
Yeah, I think we're very much like a hybrid. I always try and get inspiration from as many places as possible. So I wouldn't say there's one creator that just inspired me the most, but I do love the sort of cinematic sequences that someone like Sam Calder or Gork's art.
I like to have small details that I know not everyone is gonna notice.
Creating, and we often try and do something to that level, but neither myself or Zac are anywhere near as cinematography minded as those individuals are. So we're just trying.
But I think what we've in that, for example, it's almost like a treat for me to see he's got like an idea, and as long as it's sort of keeps us on schedule. I think part of the reason why in the early days working together, Scott animated. I remember you like went into Blender and you animated like a 1 minute long sequence of my head getting into like a back of a truck and pulling off an art heist, and it was great. But it didn't make much sense for the video. Like I think we've overextended sometimes, and this sort of like bodgy, don't know, make it work within the confines of the time we've got for the edit, but also the simplicity of like just visually showing what we want to get across. I think that's when we end up with stuff like this. I think the paper thing you said would be simple, and you convinced me of that because it's like it's not going to take 4 days to do. And I think it's sort of, yeah, I don't know. I've learned to trust that aspect of our working relationship, and then when I get to see it for the first time, it's like, ooh. It's very often that as opposed to. I wish you didn't spend that long on that.
Well, I think my editing processes, my editing ambitions is to be like the Swiss Army knife of editors. So I like to grab a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and maybe I'm not the best at anything, but I like to be able to do almost everything.
Oh God, scared the shit out of me.
As you can see, I was already on edge, but I needed to set up my perfect thief trap which would capture everything from all angles.
Phone goes on the...
You extended that clip there of the police walking by.
Riding.
Riding. They're walking very fast.
To capture everything from all angles.
It just adds to the feel that like this kind of is a dangerous spot. Like the fact that as we were setting up cameras, there was 2 policemen there, and then later on the police walked by, and
I was scared of the litter men going by doing their job because I was on edge. There's all those little things that make it feel like, oh, something is going to happen.
I've got my sign under the table ready to go. That is Zac Alsop's tourist trap officially set up.
Now all I had to do was sit tight, keep my mind on the mission.
Wow, I'm lonely. I am lonely.
It wasn't long before I got my first hint that I was in the right spot.
I would be careful leaving your phone out
Oh, really?
Yeah, keep it.
Got ya. Cheers, mate. That's very positive. At least I look like a stupid tourist.
This is like keeping the fish on the line here, like showing again evidence we're in the right place. There's good people in the world, and the "wow, I'm lonely" line was genuine, and it just adds a bit of comedic levity to the moment. So that music is building and building. It makes you feel like you're getting closer, and I'm still sort of like unaware. Time is passing, it's getting darker, there's people going about their lives.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to show that, like build up to something that's about to happen when the shot is exactly the same for the 3 hours before that thing happens. So it was more a case of trying to add in these little moments, have the music building, and then have the moment of the police driving by to remind the audience that, oh, this is a dangerous area, and then the security guard literally telling Zac of the problem. Like, that wasn't prompted. We didn't ask him to say that. He just came up and did it because this place is so hot for phone theft.
And this is exactly why we have to roll for like 4 hours straight, because we don't know when those moments are going to come up.
I was sat in a pub across the street because it was about 3 degrees outside, so it was freezing cold. So I didn't hear any of this either. So then I had to watch the full 4 hours to get all these moments afterwards, because Zac doesn't keep track of the timestamp that anything happened because he was too busy checking on the phone, and I think you actually doing some work at the point. So yeah, I had to re-watch literally everything because I wasn't sat with him. So then after this first day, it was like, okay, I realized I need to be out with him so I can at least note down the moments of things that happen.
Now I'd reached the depths of the night where the pickpockets are most active. I knew I was getting close. Quick, Zac, say something thieves will love.
I'm so fucking vulnerable right now.
Shortly after I said this, a couple emerged from the shadows.
So that again is trying to bring some level of humor back to the video. So zooming in, changing shot every zoom, zoom, zoom in the music.
And I think what I said, I'm so effing vulnerable right now, in an American accent, is because Molly had joined me at the table. I was mocking her. And also, when the music is doing that, you're expecting the thief to be the next piece of action that happens. And then when it's not, and it's like me trying to convince any thief in the vicinity that I'm a vulnerable American tourist, it sort of blindsides you a bit. So that's kind of funny, and it takes you out of the moment and then immediately back in. So.
And I think as well with these videos, we do try and get Zac's personality across. Like, I know it's a struggle sometimes because there's not much of it, but the bits that we can, I'm joking.
Continue.
In this sort of style, when it's so focused on something else going on, like, it just works so well. If this just came out of this high moment to then the thief coming in, it doesn't get Zac's personality across in the video. It's just focusing again on the thief, and then it's not going to draw a viewer to watch another video. They just think, wow, that was a cool video at the time.
This is not an MI5 mission. This is one man who's lonely, sat at a table, wanting to get robbed for content. There's nothing normal about this situation. So it's good to remind the audience that.
I'm so fucking vulnerable right now.
Shortly after I said this, a couple emerged from the shadows.
These guys behind. These guys behind.
A couple of good-for-nothing pickpockets.
Visiting from America, I want to have a good time.
And unaware of the kind of people that operate in this area.
There's a
I
lot
need to
going
stop
on.
saying that.
There is.
Sorry? What's this? Change. Oh, I don't have any cash, mate. I'm sorry. You want food? Yeah. You want food? I literally don't have any cash on me now. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's a good smell coming from up there.
Bam, thank you, ma'am.
So this bit, because it was like the most exciting bit, it was the first thief that you're seeing steal our phone, and it was the first one that happened to us as well. In fact, everything in this video was chronological, I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a song that fitted exactly how I wanted it to, because I wanted something to have these big impacts but not actually like play out a beat and distract from the thing that was going on. So I just found these bass hit sound effects. Cinematic, dramatic impact.
I call these the Transformer sound effect pack. I like it because it does work to like make it more dramatic, but it's so ridiculous. I think it does add to the humor. It's like, wow, like you're expecting like a massive building to just turn into a dinosaur or something, where it's just two people walking towards a table.
Yeah, like without any of this, it really doesn't look that dramatic. It is just two people come up to a table, put some paper on, and slide it out.
Scott, I think we should watch it without the sound effects. I think that'd be really insightful for the audience.
I need to stop saying that. Sorry? What's this? Change. Oh, I don't have any cash, mate. I'm sorry.
That's rubbish.
You want food? Yeah. You want food? I literally don't have any cash on me, mate. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's a good smells coming from up there.
Do you know what I felt in that? I felt pity for the thief, and that's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
Because their story is that they're like hungry, they just want money, and they use that piece of paper to take your phone. That almost made me feel sorry for them. Whereas when you make them a monster with the sound effects,
yeah,
I think that's selling what they actually are.
So when the guy gets out his piece of paper, I wanted it to sort of seem like his weapon of choice to pull off this amazing feat with us. So I just added this like sword sound effect where it was like a shine sound effect, but it's like someone's pulling our sword out of the
sheath
case. Yeah.
Visiting from America.
And then added this paper sound effect, so he was like scrumpling it around and like preparing his weapon.
Visiting from America, I want to have a good time.
And people say YouTubers are dramatic. We just turned a piece of paper into a knife. That's what we did.
This was also a theme throughout. So when the next thief comes along, I did the same thing.
It makes the audience know that the baddies are the baddies, and we're the innocents.
But it's just funny that he's doing this petty crime, but also pretty awful thing, just with a simple piece of paper. Like there's nothing technical or whatever. So I just wanted to highlight how simple it was, and it was just a whole, like someone's whole day, whole week could be ruined by a simple piece of paper. So I just wanted to highlight the sort of impact that little piece of paper would have. So
I'd say this project, start to finish, was probably about 2.5 months of filming in the freezing cold in January in the UK, and I'd say the edit was like sprinkled into that, so probably I'd say 1.5 months.
Yeah, I think that's a good ballpark for how long this edit took. I think we changed so many things so many times. Like this probably was our longest ever video.
We were just giving as much time as we felt an edit needed. Now we work on like a 3 to 3.5 week turnaround for most projects, and we are a lot more clear going in to a project like this of what we want to achieve. I think if we had done this again, it's hard to say. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but we were filming trying to work out if the title was possible. And I think even halfway through filming this video, I was just like, I don't know if I can actually get a phone back off of a pickpocket. And we were shooting for that title. So I think, yeah, this is one of those, I'd say, like a passion project where you give it as much time as you need, you convince the team to go out on another weekend, you buy them beers, you get them dinner, you treat them nicely, and then in the sort of week, the work week, we start putting it together and saying, is that good enough for the main cart? No, I think we can do better. I remember on this particular night, the second time it happened to me, I got a sign on the thief's back. I was so elated that I thought the video could potentially be finished. And then I think reality came hitting that, like, it wasn't that good. You just put a sign on his back. Like, it ain't that good. So I think from that point onwards, it was probably another month of filming in these situations. I think this video from start to finish is a lesson on what you shouldn't do while making a YouTube video. Overcommit and then not let it go, and then continue to not let it go. Financially, this made no sense. But no, I think this is like one of our best ever videos because the scale of what we did was crazy. It had the right level of humor. The edit is intense. It doesn't feel like it is boring in any place. The story moves every single minute, and we finally got the result we wanted, which is the cherry on top for the video.